The family is over on YouTube right now live, and they're talking about red flags that were there way early on from 2022, and not just from Jarvis violating his own children. It was almost like he was breeding children with Shannon, which is Naziah Harris's aunt, just to violate, but he was also violating other children that were around.
I had never been around Jarvis alone before. I think she might have been at the birthday party or something, an adult birthday party, but it was at a hall. But she was at Shannon's home, and this young lady was so afraid. Shannon's telling me this. She ran upstairs, frantic and afraid and scared, and wanted to go home and wanted to call her mother because Jarvis touched her inappropriately while she was in the basement playing with the puppy. While this little group, now Jarvis was on the game, he wasn't thinking about going up there with Shannon or nothing. Shannon says all of a sudden, while she's up there, she's trying to calm this little girl down and talk to her, Jarvis comes and knocks on the door and says, "What's wrong with her?" And I said, "Shannon, why are you calling me? Is he dead or is he in jail?" "No, he left." "What you mean he left?" "Call the police. Let them know where he's going, what car he's in."
Right.
"Well, I'm about to take her home, then I'm going to call my mama." "What?" So I called her back like maybe 30 minutes later. Like, "Did you call the police?" "No, my mama said bring the kids home tomorrow morning. She going to talk to them." I'm like, "No, y'all don't need to talk to them. You need to contact the police." She did not contact the police. I found out later the police were never contacted. The next day when I called Shannon, I talked to her. She said, "My mama talked to them and said the kids ended up telling us they lied. They was mad because he wouldn't give them no money." So I called Annette and I said, "Annette, are you guys going to call the police?" She said, "Yes, we're handling. I'm going to call the police." So I left it alone. Like, she going to call the police. Shannon assured me that the police had been called, they were involved, there was an investigation going on, all of this. This was in February 22. Well, in April of 22, I called Shannon in a lie. The police were never called. The children were not receiving counseling. Nothing had happened. So I went to the Clinton Township Police and I told them that I wanted to make a report. They told me I couldn't make a report because I didn't have enough information about the child who actually accused him of the sexual abuse. I said, but the other children also accused him of sexual abuse. They said, well, they didn't happen that night. And I'm like, she said it would probably be best for you to call CPS. So I called CPS and I told Shannon I called CPS. I said, if y'all didn't call, I told you to call the police. I told you to get the kids help. You didn't do it, so I'm calling CPS. I'm not only you, but I'm calling them on your mama too. Because it happens, whatever's happening at your house is most likely happening at your mother's house. They never called. And then that's when Kiwana got involved. I didn't, my husband knew what was going on. And a few other people who knew Shannon because she had told them stories. Mm-hmm. But this is how Kiwana got involved. So I'll let Kiwana tell what happened on her end.
So then I end up going over there to drop off Naziah some clothing. And once I got there, Shannon pulled me to the side and said, "I gotta tell you something." And I go, "Okay, what's going on, little cuz?" And she said, that Janelle and called Protective Services on me and lied and said that Jarvis was doing something to the kids. I said, What? What do you mean she called Protective Services to say Jarvis was doing something to the kids? How would that come about? So that's when she went to tell me, it was a party. And she explained that what happened at the party and that they ended up questioning the children and her daughter along with Naziah, along with my other little cousin, which I've never met, had expressed to her that Jarvis offered them monies to do things inappropriately. She said, however, she found later on that her daughter was lying. And I said, You know, Shannon, kids don't lie about stuff like that. But a child not gonna come and tell that something like that happened and just be lying. You know, you need to further investigate. No, that Janelle just trying to start some stuff. You know, I said no. I don't feel like she trying to start no stuff. I feel like she care and concerned about what's going on in the household as far as the children. This is outside of you and her relationship. This is about looking out for the children. And so we began to go back and forth. And I became, you know, what she like to call it, the op, being as though now I'm taking up for the kids. So I contacted Janelle and said, you know, what's going on? Because we hadn't talked for a little while. And I said, you know, explain to her what I had heard and what Shannon had said. And she told me what happened and what transpired. So that's when I called Protective Services.
Could you tell me the length of time it was before either one of you called? Because it seemed like it was a long stretch before
the initial incident happened.
Protective Services was notified.
The initial incident happened in February of 2022. I was told that the authorities were involved. When I found out that the authorities were not involved, Shannon was lying to me.
22 or 24?
22.
22.
Wow. Okay.
The family also states that Jarvis was intimate with Shannon, which is Naziah Harris's aunt, when she was only 16 and he was a grown man.
So, you know, Jarvis have been around since Shannon was 16, right?
Yeah, we didn't know about it until later, but
yeah,
after she had her daughter, he had been. We found out during this whole ordeal that she had been acquainted with him since she was about 16.
Right, and we had no clue, not just that he was the age that he was, but no clue that he had a record. You know,
right. Yeah, but you know, and I think that's
a record of being a pedophile. Let me say that.
Right. Yeah, because that's a lot of the thing is, you know, where was the family? Oh, and the other thing is, you know, let's clarify. And we don't have to go into extensive details about her mom, but can we please clarify? You know, just a general idea of her mother and the father. We know that the father did pass away last year, but if you guys can share with us just a little bit, just to put that to rest so that people understand what the dynamics are.
I'll speak on her mother because I really didn't have a relationship with her father. Kiwana knows him better than I do. Her mother loved her. She loved her children. She just had, like I said, she grew up with Annette in a household, and she went through the same thing at 13 as Naziah. So, you know, she had a lot on her, you know, and no one ever got her help. So, and she loved her children. She just couldn't fight those demons that were chasing her. When all this stuff was going on with Naziah, we finally caught up with her because people were lying, specifically Annette and people in the family were saying that she just left. She never left. She said, I'm staying here until y'all find out what happened to my baby. But she just staying out the way because Annette was trying to say she had something to do with it. Other people were trying to say, when actually she was the first person to give the police the information that they needed to try to figure out what happened to Naziah.
Oh, wow.
But when we found her just talking to her, she said, this stuff just keep on falling, this sex stuff. She said, it's just keep on chasing me. It's chasing me, now it's got my baby.
Oh, my God.
So
this is really sad.
You